Okay, so I had this thought today when I was overhearing my boss talking about how girls and boys are different. I guess he has a little daughter, so he's explaining the difference between his boys and his girls. And it got me thinking, other than biologically, are boys and girls different because of the way they learn from society how to act as a boy or a girl? Or is it actually something that's installed in their DNA, I guess you could say? I don't know why I use quotes. But I was thinking this because when I was growing up, from what I can remember, I did things that boys did because boys did them. I didn't. I was too young to think. Well, is this really an activity a boy would do, or is this really an activity that boys do because they're boys? Because they have a penis. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but is the difference between girls and boys really make the difference in the ways we choose to do things? And I kind of got a little off topic, and I thought about it, and I don't mean to get into a debate on homosexuality or any of that things. And I'm not even sure I'm correct. This is just an idea I came up with. But what if people that choose or are born that way? I haven't come to a consensus on that. Are really just being exactly who they are. In other words, there might be a guy or a woman who's attracted to the same sex. But because of the way society treats those people, they choose to ignore those wants. Um, a couple times, I don't know if it's been on TV or not, I've seen people that don't come out of the closet or don't make it public that they are homosexuals until way longer in their life when they're in their 40s or 50s. Because by then, my assumption would be that they're the opinion that society holds, or the what is the word I'm looking for? How they value society's opinion no longer affects their daily lives. When you're young, society is a big part of your life as far as fitting in, finding groups of friends, knowing where you fit in. And so you're a little less likely to go against the grade, unless you're a rare individual who's not afraid of being not an outcast, but being standing out amongst what you would consider a crowd. Because a lot of times when I see, um, and I'm sorry if this isn't the correct term, I'm just using it, generally, but people that are homosexual seem to be a lot more free, a lot more comfortable with themselves, a lot more confident in themselves, a lot less worried about the way people perceive them, a lot less worried about the consequences. I'm thirsty. Consequences of their actions, and I mean that in a good way. I mean doing things that you want to do that make you happy without worrying about the repercussions. Now, I don't mean if heroin makes you happy, you go out and you know go on a heroin binge. I'm talking about things like going skydiving or things that you're afraid of, or you're afraid how people will react to you doing those things. They don't have those fears, or the majority don't have those fears. And they seem to be a more freer human being, regardless of who they choose to be attracted to and who they choose to have sex with. And I wondered if that's really what we're all supposed to be. If there's really supposed to be straight or gay or homosexual, whatever. If what we're really supposed to be is just human beings. And I think the real struggle that homosexuals have in that regard is they just want to be a human being. And and we're treating them like a different species almost. I mean, if you think about it in a certain regard, let's say your dog, for whatever reason, has sex with other male dogs. Or, are you going to criticize the dog for not knowing the difference between a man or a woman, or male or female, or is there something wrong with that dog? Uh, if I had to guess, most people are still going to love their dog. So when you're relating to people on a human level, regardless of what they look like, skin tone, sexual orientation, where they come from, when you get to the core of things, personality, attitude, sense of humor, uh, ways of viewing life, spirituality, those are all core values. Why don't we focus on those instead of what we see with our eyes? Now, I'm going to relate this to nutrition just because I'm a nutrition freak, right? There are tons of foods out there that look disgusting. Maybe not disgusting, but they don't look very appealing. But they could taste really good. And not only taste really good, some of them can actually be really good for you. Now, if you're trying to get healthy, right, and something doesn't look that great, but you know that it's good for you or its substance is very highly valued, are you going to eat it purely on the assumption that, or the opinion or view, that it's ugly or it's not what you prefer or yada yada yada? Now, I understand there are people that don't have a lot of friends outside their race, but that's not racism. I don't find myself having too many African American friends, or I don't have that many friends that are of that race. But in no way do I consider myself, worried about the fact, oh, well, I don't hang out with African Americans. Does that make me look like a racist? If there were people that had the same personality as my friends that weren't African American, it wouldn't make a difference. The best thing to do is take race, sexual orientation, anything else you want to include in that category, and basically, to your best ability, destroy it. Look at, you know, base people on their qualities that we all have: attitude, honesty. That's just to name a few. If there's a person out there who has the attitude of a 5-year-old and who's white, I have no problem telling my best friends, look, you have an attitude problem. Why would I want to hang out with you? There's tons of friends that I've hung out with, and I discover that they're complete, not morons, but they have really bad, or not people that I want to be associated with, right? I'm getting off track. But to my main point, are boys and girls really that different? And are our differences genuine, or are they things that we learn in our environment? For instance, you're a little kid, your dad, or however it came about, uh, you got this idea that boys can't play with dolls. Now I understand. Growing up, I thought the same thing. Boys play with dolls. That's weird. My parents bought me and my brothers a kitchen, a little, one of those little plastic kitchens when we were younger. Now, some of you might say, well, at that age, a kitchen, plastic toy kitchen, is for girls. I loved the shit out of that thing. It was fun. I didn't care if it was, well, I mean, I'm looking back, this is what I'm thinking I thought. I didn't care if it was for boys or girls. Now, dolls didn't really appeal to me. I mean, I don't want to just play with something's hair. You know, that's just not something I would have wanted to do. That, if you play, but I played house. I had a freaking plastic kitchen, for Pete's sake. So, is it really the men, or is it really the boys and the girls having a difference, or is it how society shapes them to be different? Does boys playing with dolls make them not boys? Does girls wrestling and hanging out in the mud and playing sports, does that not make them girls? So I think it's more important to focus on what it is that society is telling children. Because in all honesty, I think any child, boy or girl, shouldn't have boundaries that restrict them from enjoying the things they like to do. If a kid likes to play with dolls, so what? Now, as a father, that might concern you. I don't know what kind of father you'd be. Or if you're, if you're a mom and you want your daughter to be girly, but she likes playing sports and hanging out with the boys and, running out in the rain. And, well, what kid doesn't like to run out in the rain? But my point is, why are we restricting children from doing things based on whether it's a boy thing or a girl thing? Shouldn't we just let them do both? I mean, why do parents think, and why do other people think, that just because you do boy things or girl things, that's going to shape who you are later in life? And now it's very possible that might be true. But I'm sure there's tons of girls out there that played sports that were quote-unquote tomboys. Doesn't necessarily turn out to be tomboys the rest of their life. Same with guys. There's probably plenty of guys that did things that weren't considered, 100% manly or boy-like, that probably turned out fine. I think when you restrict people from doing things, it makes them think those things are bad. And when they think those things are bad, that's where the hatred, the bias, negative things come from. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was told not to do something, I consider those things to be bad. When your parents tell you don't have sex till you're married, most of us don't believe that. But it depends on, your home life and all these other things, and I'm getting kind of off topic. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to bring up that point because it's something that I thought applied to a lot of people. I thought it would be interesting. And it kind of gets you thinking about the way society works and why everyone wants to be an influence on society. Because if, in a grand scheme of things, if you have an influence on society, you have an influence on more people than anyone had ever been able to reach. Now with the internet and TV and everything, if you can influence society, positive or negative, you're affecting a huge group of people, and that power is inviting to a lot of people. So anyway, that's just the point I wanted to make today. If I seem a little bit morbid, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just extremely tired. Did I say morbid? I don't know if that's the right word. If I seem down or depressed, trust me, I'm not. I'm extremely tired right now. So anyway, that's my video for today. If anyone watches this, thank you. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Peace.